please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Now, Andhra Pradesh is in pole position as the best state to do business in India. Its neighbours Telangana is also a close second. 3 BJP-ruled states, which is Haryana, Jharkhand as well as Gujarat, complete the top 5. Now, pole-bound Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, along with Chhattisgarh and Karnataka, are also in the top 10. Now, some of India's most industrialized states like Maharashtra as well as Tamil Nadu find themselves outside the top 10 list. But they have scored over 90 as well as are listed as achievers by the government. Also, public feedback has exposed huge gaps between reform claims made by states and the experience of the end user. Shireen Pan actually caught up with DIPP Secretary Ramesh Abhishek and started by asking him about this gap. Hear out what he had to say.
Whatever claims may be there on doing reforms, we have to check with people on the ground. So that check has been done, and it will be a kind of an eye-opener for those where the feedback score has been poor or low. And I'm sure they will do better to make users feel the reforms. The same thing happened to us when the World Bank Doing Business report was being done in 2016. We started taking a lot of feedback from the users of our reforms, even for the World Bank report overall for the country. And that was very helpful to us. Instead of the World Bank trying to get feedback every June, July, we started getting feedback every week, every month. And we started making our reforms and making improvements, all the departments. So I think process of continuous feedback from the users is very important. That is a lesson. And either you validate your reforms through that, or you learn where you need to improve further. And what are the gaps between your reforms and the implementation on the ground. So I think this exercise is very helpful in identifying these gaps.
Okay, where are you seeing the most gaps, sir? And again, if I look at the feedback score, because if I look at the reform evidence score, at least till the top 20, most states are either in the high 90s or in the early 90s, starting from 99.73 for Andhra Pradesh, which is the #1 state, down to about Tamil Nadu, which comes in at about 95.93%, which comes in at number 15. But if I look at the feedback score, the feedback goes from 86% to 43%. Where are you seeing the most gaps when it comes to reforms not being implemented on the ground?
See, so far the reforms implemented score is concerned, since this is the 3rd year of doing these reforms, the states have also learned. They have tried to improve their regulations, practices, online systems. So on the reforms, there has been a huge improvement. We have done so much of capacity building. The stronger states have helped the weaker states. So all that has happened a lot. That's why their reforms claimed score has been pretty good, and it has consistently improved in the last 3 years. But then feedback is a different story. See, many states have done a lot of work on reaching out to the beneficiaries or the users of the system. So they have done a lot of work on that. So wherever they have reached out to the beneficiaries or the users, and they have tried to see that the reforms are felt on the ground, the results are also good.
Is there disappointment that these large industrial states are dropping in the rankings?
The message that we get from these rankings is that the gap between the top states are very, very low. Sometimes there's a gap of 2 or 3%, and you have 10, 12 states within that 2, 3%. I will look at the tremendous efforts that have been made by the states to improve their business environment. I think the effort has been tremendous in the last 3 years, and that is the takeaway that we see. On the feedback, we all need to improve. As government departments, as public authorities, we all need to improve our feedback system. So this lesson is there for everyone, not only states, but even for central government.
All right, and Shireen also spoke with representatives from the states of Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Jharkhand to find out what helped these states go ahead and improve their rankings.
Kia Motors, from the day the agreement was signed and it has been put into operation, the appointment of a facilitating officer, and continuous follow-up has seen that first time in India you are seeing an auto project getting commissioned as quickly as in 18 months, because Kia is coming into production by January itself of 2019. This kind of facilitation by the state has given immense confidence to many investors, both global investors from abroad and also Indian investors. The MOUs that are getting translated into implementation is as high as 35% to 44% in different sectors.
We are one of the few states, and of course the very first state which introduced a law which made it mandatory to give all clearances in 15 days. And because we hold accountability to this particular law so high that we are so far the only state which penalizes officers. With their salary is deducted if anyone is found delaying any approval or permission beyond the 15th day. And we have actually invoked this. In 2017, we held the Global Investor Summit at Ranchi, and there we were able to execute MOUs, over 300 MOUs to the tune of investment of over 32,000 crore. And our conversion rate has also been fairly good, in the sense that as a follow-up to that, we have been holding regularly groundbreaking ceremonies in different parts of the state. And almost 100 projects are already on the ground with an investment of around 12,000 crores.
Okay, but let's now move on and talk about a space that is leading the market from the front, and that's the consumption space. And it's a CNBC TV18 exclusive. Now, all the oats maker Marico is positive about growth in consumer goods industry in FY19. Speaking exclusively to CNBC TV18's Priya Sheth, Marico CEO Saugata Gupta says that he expects a good monsoon to boost rural consumption and expects the momentum to pick up over the next few quarters as well.
For any big transformational movements, I think there are hiccups. GST is extremely good for the long run. It is good for the country, I think, and I think the government will drive long-term compliance, which will lead to far better tax collection. At the same time, I think it has also helped in terms of supply chain effectiveness, in terms of ease of doing business. At the same time, I think the government has been responsive to some of the hiccups and some of the execution issues. It will get sorted out. I think the issue is that, and also the fact that they took that input in terms of some of the rates that got reduced. So I think over the long term, it is very, very good for the country. It's very, very good for the economy. But as I said, that I think there were short-term hiccups which are being tackled.
What about rural demand? We've seen good monsoons playing out so far. What is your assessment of when rural demand will pick up? Do you think it is back to historical levels?
If you look at the last couple of quarters, we have been seeing the first green shoots on rural demand. Fortunately for us, the monsoon is good. I think the government has taken a significant amount of steps to boost rural income, things like direct benefit transfer, and I have no doubt that we will see a boost in the rural income and therefore rural consumption over the next couple of quarters.
As far as the foods portfolio is concerned, that there are a couple of healthy alternatives when we talk about what Marico is doing and in between snacks that your company is working on. Going forward, can we expect some more launches in the healthy space catering to what the FSSAI has just announced?
So the way we look at it is, and I think we are definitely, our objective is to drive healthy eating and healthy in between meals and breakfast. I think we already have the oats portfolio, which is doing well. We are just prototyping soups in Mumbai. And over the next 1 year, we would looking at, I think, some more alternatives we want to prototype. We definitely want to have a much bigger play in healthy foods over the next 5 years.
Is there an estimate as to how much healthy foods will contribute to the overall portfolio, maybe in the next 3 to 5 years?
I think we'll come to that. I think our entire effort first is to ensure that we get a critical mass in whatever we have. I think focus is very, very important for us. So we already have the oats portfolio. We are prototyping soups, and maybe over the next 12 months, we will also prototype some more offerings.
Move to some politics now. Perhaps a Congress-led mega coalition may come to power in 2019, but contours of such a coalition are still in the making. That's the word coming in from Sachin Pilot from Rajasthan. Speaking exclusively to CNBC TV18's Parikshit Luthra, the Rajasthan Congress president said that the Congress was the pivot for the opposition, but refrained from naming any leader for this opposition coalition. Listen in.
The Karnataka template, where the Congress was ready to give the Chief Minister's chair to the JDS because they want to do everything to keep the BJP out of power. Is this formula going to continue? That do whatever you have to, even if it means giving the Prime Minister's chair to somebody else from within the opposition, do that, but make sure you win the election?
I think you're asking questions which lie in the realm of speculation. You know, let's not predict what might happen. Ideas to work on principles, to work on ideology, and this country deserves better. We need a government that doesn't interfere in the lives of people, that does not use oppression as a tactic, that does not create fear in the minds of people. And, you know, the issues of price rise and farmer suicide and attacks on tribals and Dalits, that is not taking center stage. But this mob lynching and which meat are you eating, who are you praying to, what clothes you're wearing, this sort of divisive politics is uncalled for in today's India. So who will be leader, how will it all work out, it remains to be seen. But I can tell you that Mr. Rahul Gandhi as Congress president has done what is expected of him to take the charge and lead from the front. He's making the BJP very uncomfortable. And people are seeing now that the questions that Mr. Gandhi asks are being unanswered.
So who will be the coalition leader? That field is still open.
Well, I think, like I said to you, the natural pivot around which parties will have to come around and work together has to be the Congress party, because a non-Congress formation in the past has not really yielded any positive results. So the Congress certainly is the party that will take on the BJP at a national level, but the regional parties have a very important role to play. The nuances of how to have electoral understanding will have to be worked out, and we are already in discussion with a lot of parties.
Now, we're looking at a situation where a Union Minister, Jayant Sinha, is garlanding 8 people convicted, not even accused, convicted of lynching a person on the pretext that he was carrying beef. You've got Giriraj Singh, who went and met people in jail, people who have been arrested for instigating communal passions during Ram Navami celebrations. How is the Congress going to push this?
All I can say is that despite all the 4 years of chest thumping and bravado that they presented, the mask is finally coming off. Now you're seeing the reality of what the BJP stands for. And I don't want to comment about Mr. Sinha because I think his father has very eloquently described about what he thinks happened. The Congress party condemns anyone who incites violence, people who support rapists and people who are involved in mob lynching. If those are the kind of people you want to honor and garland, that shows your mentality and what bent of mind you possess.
Let's take a look at the cues coming in from the futures and options space. Yesterday was, and before we do that, actually, okay, let's take a look at the cues coming in from the futures and options space. Yesterday was a good day for our markets. The Nifty and the Sensex at near 5-month highs. The FII selling in cash reduced to about 21 crores. The Nifty notched a century. And then the big cues coming in from the index futures space. Second day running, we saw some purchase in index futures. Yesterday, nearly 1,800 crore purchase in index futures by the FIIs. This is at a multi-month high. Was looking at data since May. At least it is the highest since May itself. The FIIs added close to 18,350 longs as well as covered 3,300 shorts in index futures. The FII long exposure, a ratio that we closely track, and now stands at 48% as against 35% at the start of this series. So an even keel as far as longs and shorts are concerned in index futures. The only worry is the Nifty put call ratio. That one's risen to 1.66. So that is something we'll have to watch out for, given there was heavy selling at the 10,800 and 10,900 puts, and now we're getting some weak cues coming in from Asia. So let's take a look at individual options itself. The 10,900 put and the 10,800 put together added close to around 27 lakh shares in open interest. The call writers out there felt a little jittery. We'll have to keep an eye out on how cues stack up for today's trading session given this weakness.
Okay, Mangalam, thank you so much for that. But let's shift focus to the world of commodities now. And Manisha Gupta, as always, joins us for more. Manisha, over to you.
Well, thank you so much for that. Starting with the crude oil prices, we have seen yet another day of strength come in there. If you look at the API data, that reports a draw of around 6.79 million barrels. Now, this is a back-to-back weekly withdrawal in the U.S. inventories, and that has been supportive. Also, what we are tackling right now is multiple supply outages. Earlier, we have been talking about Venezuela and then Canada, and then Libya got added to the list. And now it's Norway as well, where the workers are going on a strike. So that would mean a lot of outage continuing, and that has been supportive. But a bit of a bearish really is coming in from the EIA report, which says that the U.S. crude production is expected to continue to rise. They are looking at a number of 10.8 million barrels per day in this year, and that is expected to increase to 11.8 in 2019. So that's a number to keep an eye on. But on the other side, you have the base metal prices declining. Almost everything fell 1 to 2% overnight, and we are looking at more bearishness continuing for the zinc prices, which is trading at a one-year lows. The zinc prices are an underperformer in the sector and down by 20% now in 2018.
Okay, Manisha, so the crude now hovering around that $78 per barrel mark. We've seen a bit of correction of around 1% in the overnight session. But on to the bullseye corner now. Our contestants this week, Manish Sharma, Vishal Malkan and Ruchit Sharma are battling it out for the strongest portfolio. Let's hear their picks for the day 3 of the week.
My first call is buy call in Havells at the rate 572. Place a stop loss at 560 and look for the target of around 585. My next call is buy call in LIC Housing Finance at the rate 495. Place a stop loss at 485 and look for the target of around 510. My next call is buy call in DLF at the rate 194. Place a stop loss at 189 and look for the target of around 200. My last call is sell call in Cadila Healthcare at the rate 383. Place a stop loss at 390 and look for the target of around 370.
India Cement, buy with a stop of 107 for targets of 115. Federal Bank, buy with a stop of 83 for targets of 95. Ambuja Cement, buy with a stop of 203 for targets of 220. Reliance Infra, buy with a stop of 400 for targets of 428.
All right, Ruchit Jain's first pick is a buy on Exide with a target of 289, stop loss placed at 267. Second pick, a buy on LIC Housing Finance with a target of 522 and a stop loss placed at 485. Third pick, also a buy, this one on Mindtree, target 1120, stop loss at 1115. His last pick is a sell on United Spirits with a target of 608 and a stop loss placed at 653.